Hi everybody, Patrick here from EngineeringShock.com and ElectronicLessons.com. This is our new LS7222 combination lock kit. We have another. This is the improved version, and it actually comes in a few variants. We'll sell it in kit and in assembled form. There's two different keypads you can choose from: your membrane 16-digit matrix keypad or your push-button matrix keypad. Now, the membrane keypad fits directly onto the board and can be taken off at any point. In the finished product with the matrix keypad solders directly into the main board. But we'll talk about that more later. I just want to talk about the components before we put one together, because this is going to be a step-by-step assembly video. There is a manual for this, a video manual that I created about 10 minutes ago, so it should be the last video on YouTube at this point from me. And so anyway, here's a custom PCB, 200 picofarad ceramic capacitor, 1 mega ohm resistor, 4 1K ohm resistors, 2 470 ohm resistors, a 9-pin header, an 8-pin header, 7805 5-volt regulator, 2-pin terminal block, a single 0.1 microfarad ceramic capacitor, 1 100 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, 2 4.7 microfarad electrolytic capacitors, a 3mm red LED, a 5mm green LED, a 20-pin socket, an LS7222, new and never used, and either, depending on which listing you purchase, if you choose to purchase, a matrix keypad or a push-button keypad. So first of all, let's talk about the resistors. We'll place the resistors in. Resistors have no polarity. It doesn't matter which way you place them in, as long as you actually place them in the correct area on the board. Now the 1K ohm resistors are right here, R4, R5, R6, and R7. They're all labeled 1K. So place all of your 1K ohm resistors in these 4 slots. Place your 2 470 ohm resistors in R2 and R3, labeled R2 470R and R3 470R. And place your 1 mega ohm resistor in the R1 slot, labeled R1 1M for 1 mega ohm. Once you solder those into place, and make sure there are no shorts, we will do our LEDs and our capacitors. First, let's talk about the ceramic capacitors. Ceramic capacitors have no polarity. The leads are the same size. They can be placed in either way as long as you place the capacitor in the right location. This physically smaller capacitor goes in the C3 slot, labeled C3 200P. The physically larger ceramic capacitor, labeled 104, goes in the C1 slot right here, labeled C1 0.1U for 0.1 micro. Now, of the 3 electrolytics, one is physically bigger. They have the values written on them, but the single electrolytic is bigger than the others. But you'll notice that all 3 electrolytics have a short lead and a long lead. The long lead is the positive lead. The short lead is the negative lead. C2 is labeled C2 100U for 100 micro, so the biggest one. That's our power supply capacitor. C5 is labeled C5 4.7U for 4.7 micro, and C4 is labeled C4 4.7 micro. Each of these footprints have a little tiny plus sign above one hole. In the case of C2, from this perspective, it is the lower hole. That's where you want to place your positive lead, your long lead. Place your short lead towards the top of the board. In the case of C5, the little plus sign is on the top pin from this perspective, and the bottom pin is your negative pin where you'll place your short lead. So long lead on the top, short lead on the bottom. In the case of C4, the little plus sign is on the leftmost pin, and so you place your long lead on the left and your short lead on the right. Don't reverse those or your circuit will not work. If you reverse this capacitor, the power supply capacitor, and you power it up, you'll likely blow it up. Now, in the case of the 2 diodes, the diodes are similar to the electrolytics in the sense that they have a polarity. They've got an anode and a cathode. Anode being positive, long lead; cathode being short lead, negative. And in the case of both LEDs, they are located right here. The lock LED is your 3mm red LED. The PRG for program LED is your 5mm green one. The negative is the short leads go on the bottom pins on both of them. Long leads go on the top pins. Don't reverse them or your LEDs will not work. Solder those into place and we'll do the sockets and the headers. Sorry about the shine. Very, 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 very important. If you are using the membrane keypad, solder this 8-pin header to this strip right here. If you are not using, you do not buy a kit that has the membrane, but rather the keypad, what you're going to want to do is, at the end, we'll get to it, place the header underneath and solder it into place. But if you're having the membrane, you want to solder this header in so you can plug it in. But if you have the keypad and you solder this into place, you're going to have a heck of a time making connections. So trust me, just be very careful. If you have the keypad version, or the like the hard keypad version, the button keypad version, toss this one away or save it for another project. There's also a 9-pin header which goes on the output section right here. So solder that into place. Now your 10-pin socket, there's a notch on the left hand side, and on the footprint there's a notch on the left hand side of the LS7222 footprint. You want to make sure that the notch from this perspective is facing left when you solder into place. Because what happens is you're going to place your LS7222, which also has a notch on the left, into the socket with the notch facing left. If you reverse the orientation of the chip when you power it on, consider your LS7222 toast. So make sure that when you solder in your socket that there are no shorts, and that it's flush to the board. Once you've soldered that into place, then place the LS7222 into the socket. Next we will do the 7805 and the 2-pin terminal block. The 7805 has a front side with writing on it, and it has a back side which is more or less just ground, and it's white and flat. So what you want to do is the 7805 footprint has a white stripe on the back. You want to make sure that the ground is facing the back, facing the 100 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, and that the front with writing on it is going to face the terminal block. The terminal block has 2 pins on it, on one side and plastic on the other. Make sure that the pin side is facing it out so that you can wire in your power connections. If you turn that around and have the wire connections facing the 7805, you're never going to be able to apply power to the device. So solder those into place, and next we will talk about the keypads. Okay, so this is the one we've been working on. This is one that's already done, and I have soldered in the 8-pin jumper here, or 8-pin header, sorry. And this one is a completed button version. So with this one, I still have that choice. I don't know, because, and you can buy either or set, and you can buy them assembled or in kit form. So in the case where I have the 8-pin header, all I need to do is take the bottom of the membrane, place it onto the 8-pin header, down flush to the board, ready to go. Apply your power supply, 7 to 12 volts to the terminal block, and you're ready to go. As soon as you power it up for the first time, the red LED should turn on. If the red LED does not turn on, then take power off and start troubleshooting, because look for shorts. Shorts are your biggest enemy with this board. As for this one, this will look like this should I choose to do it. All I need to do is take one of my keypads that has the header already applied to it, that comes with the kit. From underneath, I put the header in from underneath, and make sure that it's even. You don't want it bent in either direction, so make sure it's even. And solder all 8 connections. Now your output are talked about in the other video. This is just an assembly video, and to talk about the different combinations that you may choose to use. But there is a manual. Keep in mind that in the manual video, in the demonstration video, we talk about the membrane keypad. Now the push button keypad has a different default code, just because the buttons are aligned a little bit differently. So read the listing when you purchase, because it will give you the relative default combinations and examples on how to reprogram the combinations. So thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.